The year was 2147, and Earth was a bustling hub of interstellar trade. Humanity had reached beyond the stars, encountering various alien civilizations. However, not all encounters were peaceful. The Zarkans, a warrior race with advanced technology, had declared war on Earth. In this tumultuous time, Lieutenant James Carter, a seasoned pilot, found himself embroiled in the conflict. During a reconnaissance mission on the outskirts of the solar system, James's spacecraft, the Phoenix, was ambushed by a Zarkan patrol. The Zarkans were known for their swift and deadly attacks, and this encounter was no exception. Laser fire streaked across the void, forcing James to rely on every bit of his training and experience to evade destruction. Despite his efforts, a powerful blast hit the Phoenix, sending it into a spiral towards an unknown planet. The ship's alarms blared as it plummeted through the planet's atmosphere. James fought to regain control, his hands a blur over the controls. The ship shuddered violently as it descended, the heat of re-entry turning the viewports into glowing embers. Moments before impact, James managed to stabilize the descent enough to crash land in a dense alien forest. The impact was jarring, and the last thing James remembered before losing consciousness was the sight of towering bioluminescent trees and the distant sound of alien wildlife. When James awoke, he found himself in a strange, glowing chamber, restrained but alive. His head throbbed with pain, and it took a moment for his vision to clear. Hovering over him was a Zarkan female, her luminescent eyes studying him intently. She was tall and lithe, with skin that shimmered like polished silver under the chamber's light. Her name was Kayla, a scientist and warrior tasked with interrogating the human intruder. Kayla's orders were clear: extract information and eliminate the enemy. As a member of the Zarkan elite, she was trained to be both merciless and efficient. Yet, as she looked at the injured human before her, she hesitated. There was something about him that sparked her curiosity. Using a neural interface device, Kayla began to delve into James's memories. She saw flashes of his life on Earth, his childhood, his time at the academy, and his friendships with his fellow soldiers. She saw his dedication to his mission and his fierce determination to protect his home. Each memory painted a picture of a man who was more than just an enemy soldier. James, though restrained, could feel the presence in his mind. It was invasive and unsettling, but he focused on staying calm. He had heard about the Zarkan's mental probing capabilities, but experiencing it firsthand was far more disconcerting. He forced himself to focus on Kayla, trying to discern any hint of her intentions. Days turned into weeks, and James remained a captive in the Zarkan research facility. Kayla continued her interrogation, but their conversations began to shift. Initially, it was about strategic information, but soon they were sharing personal stories. James spoke of Earth's beauty, the diversity of its people, and the reasons humanity fought so fiercely to protect it. Kayla, in turn, shared tales of Zarkan culture, their traditions, and the harsh realities of life in a warrior society. Despite their initial animosity, a mutual respect and curiosity grew between them. Kayla was particularly fascinated by James's resilience and his capacity for empathy, traits that were rare in Zarkan society. For James, Kayla's intelligence and hidden compassion revealed a side of the Zarkans he had never considered. One evening, as the twin moons of the alien planet rose in the sky, Kayla entered James's chamber with a different demeanor. She deactivated the restraints and offered him a simple meal. "You need your strength," she said, her voice softer than usual. James accepted the food, his eyes never leaving hers. "Thank you," he replied cautiously. "Why are you doing this?" Kayla hesitated, the conflict in her eyes evident. I'm not sure," she admitted. "But I know that there's more to this war than we've been told. There's more to you than just being an enemy." Their bond deepened when a rogue Zarkan faction attacked the facility, aiming to seize control of its resources. In the chaos, James managed to escape his restraints. He could have fled, but instead, he chose to help Kayla. Together, they fought off the attackers, combining their skills and knowledge to survive. James's combat experience complemented Kayla's agility and technological prowess, making them an unexpectedly effective team. After the battle, Kayla faced a difficult choice. She could return James to the Zarkan authorities, where he would undoubtedly face execution, or she could help him escape. Torn between duty and a burgeoning sense of connection, Kayla decided to risk everything. She led James through a secret passage, guiding him to a hidden escape pod. Before he departed, James turned to Kayla, gratitude and something deeper shining in his eyes. "Thank you, Kayla. I won't forget this." Kayla nodded, her own emotions in turmoil. "Go, James. Find a way to end this war." As the escape pod launched into the sky, Kayla watched it disappear into the stars. She knew her actions would have consequences, but for the first time in her life, she felt she had made the right choice. Little did she know, this was just the beginning of their intertwined destinies, where fate would twist in ways neither could predict. Weeks passed since James's escape, and Earth was still embroiled in the bitter war with the Zarkans. The stories of James's survival and his unexpected ally, a Zarkan scientist named Kayla, spread through the ranks, igniting hope among the soldiers. James was hailed as a hero, but his mind often drifted back to Kayla and their brief yet profound connection. Meanwhile, Kayla's decision to help James had not gone unnoticed. She faced intense scrutiny from her superiors, questioned about her motives and loyalty. The Zarkan High Council was divided. Some saw her actions as treasonous, while others believed she had uncovered a potential path to peace. Kayla defended her actions, arguing that understanding and empathy were crucial to ending the war. Her unique perspective earned her a tentative reprieve, but also placed her under constant surveillance. Back on Earth, James struggled with the bureaucratic inertia that hindered any substantial move towards peace. Frustrated by the lack of progress, he volunteered for another mission, this time to the heart of Zarkan territory. The mission was twofold: gather intelligence and, if possible, seek out Kayla. His superiors reluctantly agreed, recognizing his unique position and insight into Zarkan society. James and his team infiltrated the Zarkan capital, a sprawling city of crystal spires and advanced technology. Under the cover of night, they navigated the city's intricate layout, avoiding patrols and surveillance drones. Their goal was to reach the central data hub, hoping to uncover information that could shift the war's balance. As they neared their objective, James received an encrypted message on his comm device. It was from Kayla. She had learned of his mission and offered her assistance. Against his team's objections, James decided to trust her, arranging a clandestine meeting. They met in a secluded garden, hidden away from the prying eyes of the Zarkan authorities. The garden was a sanctuary of tranquility amidst the chaos, with bioluminescent plants casting a soft glow. Kayla appeared, her expression a mix of relief and apprehension. "James," she whispered, her eyes reflecting the garden's gentle light. "You shouldn't have come. It's too dangerous." James stepped closer, his voice equally soft but firm. "I had to, Kayla. I couldn't just sit back and do nothing. We need your help." Kayla nodded, her resolve strengthening. "I've been working on something that might help. There's a faction within the High Council that supports peace. They believe the war is unsustainable, but they need proof that Earth is willing to negotiate in good faith." James's eyes widened with hope. "What do we need to do?" Kayla explained that they needed to secure vital data from the central data hub, evidence of the Zarkan leadership's internal conflict and their hidden casualties. This information could bolster the pro-peace faction and push for a ceasefire. Together, they formulated a plan. Kayla would provide insider access codes, while James and his team would execute the infiltration. It was a high-risk operation, but it was their best chance to change the course of the war. The following night, James and his team, guided by Kayla's information, infiltrated the data hub. The facility was heavily guarded, with layers of security designed to thwart any intruders. Kayla monitored their progress from a remote location, providing real-time updates and hacking into the security systems to create temporary blind spots. James's heart pounded as they navigated the labyrinthine corridors. They reached the central data core, a massive structure pulsating with energy. As his team secured the area, James began downloading the critical files. The seconds ticked by with agonizing slowness. Suddenly, alarms blared, and the facility went into lockdown. Kayla's voice crackled through James's earpiece. "You've been detected. You need to get out now." James and his team fought their way out, the corridors erupting in a flurry of laser fire. They reached the extraction point where Kayla awaited with a stolen Zarkan shuttle. "Get in," she shouted, covering their retreat with expert marksmanship. The shuttle sped away from the data hub, evading pursuit with Kayla's deft piloting. As they breached the planet's atmosphere, James breathed a sigh of relief. They had the data, and they were alive. For now. Back on Earth, the data they retrieved caused a seismic shift. The evidence of internal dissent and the staggering toll of the war on Zarkan society shocked the human leadership. Public opinion began to sway, with increasing calls for a diplomatic solution. Meanwhile, within the Zarkan High Council, the data sparked intense debates. The pro-peace faction gained momentum, arguing that continued conflict was unsustainable and that Earth was willing to negotiate. James and Kayla's alliance had forged an unexpected path towards peace. They continued to work together, sharing information and strategies. Their bond deepened, transcending the roles of mere allies. They were drawn to each other, not just by necessity, but by a profound understanding and respect. One evening, as they reviewed the latest intelligence reports in a secluded safe house, James turned to Kayla. "We've come so far, Kayla, but I can't help wondering, what happens after the war ends?" Kayla looked at him, her expression thoughtful. "We build a new future, James, together, one where our people can coexist and thrive." James reached out, taking her hand. "I believe in that future, Kayla, and I believe in us." Kayla smiled, a rare warmth in her eyes. "So do I, James, so do I." As they prepared for the final push towards a lasting peace, James and Kayla knew their journey was far from over, but they faced it with renewed hope and determination, knowing that their unlikely alliance had the power to change the fate of their worlds. Months later, the war between Earth and Zarka had reached a critical point. Diplomatic efforts were underway, and a fragile ceasefire had been established. Both sides were weary of the endless conflict and sought a more permanent solution. James had returned to Earth as a hero, his tales of Kayla and the unlikely alliance becoming a symbol of hope. In a surprising turn of events, the Zarkan High Council invited a delegation from Earth for peace talks. James was among the chosen representatives, determined to see the war end. The delegation traveled to the Zarkan capital, a sprawling city of crystal spires and advanced technology. As the human delegation's shuttle descended onto the Zarkan homeworld, James couldn't help but feel a mix of anticipation and anxiety. The city below shimmered with a blend of natural beauty and technological marvels. Towering structures of crystal and metal intertwined with lush, bioluminescent flora, creating a landscape that was both alien and breathtakingly beautiful. Upon landing, they were greeted by a Zarkan official. "Welcome to Zarka," she said, her voice formal but not unkind. "I am Eris, your liaison. The High Council awaits." James followed the delegation, his eyes scanning the surroundings for any sign of Kayla. The anticipation of seeing her again after so many months was almost overwhelming. They were escorted to the Great Hall, a grand chamber with a domed ceiling that seemed to stretch into the heavens. The hall was filled with representatives from both worlds, their expressions a mixture of hope and skepticism. The talks began with leaders from both sides presenting their cases. James listened intently, contributing when necessary, but his mind often wandered to Kayla. Where was she? Was she safe? During a break in the negotiations, James wandered through the city, marveling at its beauty. He found himself in a serene garden, the same one where he and Kayla had first met after his escape. As he walked, lost in thought, he heard a familiar voice. "James." He turned to see Kayla standing at the edge of the garden, her eyes filled with a mixture of surprise and joy. Without hesitation, he approached her, his heart pounding. "Kayla," he said softly, "I didn't think I'd see you again." Kayla smiled, a genuine warmth in her expression. "I wasn't sure if you would come." They spent the next hours walking through the gardens, catching up on the months they had been apart. Kayla had faced scrutiny and danger for her actions, but she had also become a voice for peace within her people. James shared his own struggles and hopes for the future. As the sun set, casting a golden glow over the city, James took Kayla's hand. "You changed everything for me, Kayla. You showed me that we're not so different." Kayla squeezed his hand gently. "And you showed me the strength of humanity's spirit. Together, we can build a new future." The peace talks continued over the next several days, each session more productive than the last. The evidence James and Kayla had gathered played a crucial role, revealing the internal conflicts and the true cost of the war on both sides. Slowly, the representatives began to find common ground, driven by a shared desire to end the bloodshed. On the final day of negotiations, a historic agreement was reached. Both Earth and Zarka would disarm significant portions of their military forces and redirect resources towards rebuilding and cooperation. Trade and cultural exchanges would be established, fostering understanding and unity between the two civilizations. The signing ceremony was a grand event, attended by leaders and citizens from both worlds. James and Kayla stood side by side, their presence a testament to the power of their unlikely alliance. As the leaders signed the peace accord, a sense of profound relief and optimism swept through the crowd. Later that evening, a celebration was held in the Great Hall. Music, laughter, and the mingling of different species created an atmosphere of unity and hope. James and Kayla found a quiet corner, away from the festivities. "We did it," James said, his voice filled with wonder. "We actually did it." Kayla nodded, her eyes shimmering with emotion. "This is just the beginning, James. There's so much work to be done, but we've shown that it's possible." James took her hands in his. "I want to be a part of that future, Kayla. With you." Kayla smiled, leaning in to rest her forehead against his. "And I with you, James. Together, we can achieve anything." As the celebrations continued around them, James and Kayla stood together, ready to face the challenges of building a new world. Their journey from enemies to allies and now to lovers had been fraught with danger and uncertainty, but it had also shown them the power of understanding and compassion. In the years that followed, Earth and Zarka flourished, united by the efforts of two individuals who had found love amidst the chaos of war. James and Kayla's story became a legend, a testament to the power of hope and the unbreakable bond that can form between two souls, even in the most unexpected of circumstances. Their legacy was one of peace and unity, a shining example for future generations. As they worked side by side to build a better world, their love only grew stronger, a beacon of light in a galaxy that had once been shrouded in darkness. And so, with fate's twist guiding their path, James and Kayla's journey from enemies to lovers became the foundation upon which a new era of harmony and cooperation was built.